XRP AMMs are here. Let's get into this. I have a great clip by David Schwartz that's going to explain how important AMMs are for the XRP Ledger, what they are, how you can benefit. We're going to talk about it all in this video. Here's the vote, right? 97% consensus now. That's really great to see. As you can see, we're ticking down here the minutes to when this gets implemented and it's live on the XRP Ledger. It is exciting. This video will probably come out tomorrow as Castle edited it tonight, but let's get into this. So I played this video on the channel before, but it's very important that we go back and we listen to this because this is probably the most important 5 minutes that you're going to see David Schwartz talk about AMMs. And I want to give you some feedback and we'll talk about it as we go through this. Let's do it.
Subject, which is the AMM. I'm unreasonably excited about this for largely personal reasons. I've spent a lot of time studying things like trading strategies and Forex markets, and this is near and dear to my heart. I also learned something that I didn't know, which is as I watched automated market makers develop on other chains, I sort of thought that automated market makers were better than order books. That like we implemented order books on the XRP Ledger because it's sort of like the obvious thing. And then there's this really cool thing called an automated market maker that most other like DeFi platforms are using, most other DEXs are using. And I learned as I looked into it that they're very complementary. They are not one or the other. One is not better than the other. They each have their own advantages and disadvantages. And the two of them together is way better than anything that you could get from having either one independently. And XLS30 is not just another AMM implementation. This was not the XRP Ledger playing catch up. We were caught up with an order book. This is a true innovation. The XRP Ledger is a trusted and leading enabler of DeFi because the underlying architecture of the ledger, combined with the protocol native design of the decentralized exchange and soon the AMM, will address most of the pain points faced in the decentralized liquidity landscape today. The XRPL's DEX was launched in 2012, the first DEX in the world. Tokenization of any asset, the ability to trade and move these tokens anywhere in the world in just seconds.
Tokenization of any asset, right? That's really cool, right? When you hear that, right? Actual real use case, right? Global use case that business owners, regular people, central banks, all of them can use this, right? And that's really what gets us or me excited at the end of the day. It's really not, hey, what is retail going to speculate on this token? Where is that going to take us? It's really mass adoption and the XRP being actually used for its real use case, right? And that's what excites me at the end of the day. So let's keep this going. David had a plan from the get-go. All of this stuff is built in. It's just glad that we finally passed this amendment to get this rolling.
An open, globally competitive liquidity. Now, adding AMM to that, AMM, first and foremost, as I think about it, most people think of an AMM first and foremost as providing liquidity. I think of it first and foremost as a trading engine. RippleX is focused on differentiating the world's first DEX through automated market making. The AMM specification is now on DevNet for testing, and it'll be available to vote on mainnet, I think just in a couple of days. But ultimately, I see the AMM as a trading engine. It executes a trading strategy on behalf of those people who sort of provide the liquidity. So as most of you probably know, an AMM has a pile of two assets, and it makes markets between those two assets. But it's also implementing a yield. So if you were an Apple buyer and seller and the prices of apples were different around the world, you could go around the world buying and selling apples and make a profit. And what you would have is you'd have a pile of apples and a pile of currency, whatever currency you like, euros or dollars. And you would buy apples and your pile of apples would go up and your pile of currency would go down. And you would do that when the price was low. And then you would sell apples, right, when the price of apples was comparatively higher. And if you do that, eventually your pile of money will get bigger. And that is essentially what the AMM tries to do. It implements a trading strategy to harvest volatility on behalf of the liquidity providers who loan it assets. I'm much more personally excited about that than I am about the fact that it provides liquidity, but it does also provide liquidity. It does also make markets.
Okay, the reason why Ethereum is so big, right, and people keep building on Ethereum is one, smart contracts are very decent on Ethereum, and devs are very comfortable launching projects on Ethereum, but also the liquidity, right? And if you want to move trillions of dollars a day in value, you need to have trillions of dollars a day in value on the ledger, right? That's pretty much, if you only have so many billions, it's hard to move trillions when you're really only working with a few billion as far as liquidity goes, right? So the more liquidity that we have inside of the XRPL ecosystem, the easier it is going to be to facilitate the world's payments, right? And that's what we're trying to get to here.
Yeah, exactly. But we normally think of arbitrage as arbitrage over space, right? Like you go to this market and you buy, and you go to that market and you sell, and you go to this market and you buy. This is arbitrage over time. But it turns out arbitrage works over time too. The only problem is you don't know the price ahead of time, right? You can't predict, but it turns out you don't need to. So an exciting development also is Orchestra Finance, independent of Ripple, which is going to be the first interface layer for the AMM. So it provides benefits for all of the different stakeholders, the liquidity providers, the people who sort of take their assets and give them to the DEX, arbitrageurs, traders, and developers. Developers, of course, benefit from the liquidity that the automated market makers provide. Their tokens are more liquid, and so users can benefit from access to that liquidity. Liquidity providers want to maximize the returns that they get from the various different things that the automated market maker does to make a profit. XLS30 enables them to vote for trading fees. And probably the biggest single innovation is the continuous auction mechanism that reduces impermanent loss. And it also increases the efficiency of the volatility harvesting. What this does is this takes some of the profit that would normally be made by the arbitrageurs and gives it to the liquidity providers. The arbitrageurs are trying to make profit from sort of asymmetric information. They have access to the prices off the ledger, and the AMM does not. The auction mechanism increases the probability of success to capture mispricing profits, and it enables the automated market maker's trading strategy to capture very small changes in price. If you think about it, big movements in price have a larger opportunity for profit simply because the price change is bigger. Like if you're buying and selling a stock and it moves a lot, you can make more money. But it doesn't do that very often. Small movements occur much more often. And in aggregate, if you sum them all up, it's a greater opportunity than the large movements. But in order to catch the small movements, the system has to be very efficient. If there's a high fee, a small change in price won't be captured because people wait until the price difference exceeds the...
So this is why it could be, you know, basically something like on Ethereum, right? This really wouldn't work because you're paying a fee each time that their transactions being sent, and this could be very, very expensive. But with the XRP Ledger, so it's because it's so cheap and it's, you know, pennies or under a penny to send per payment, right? This could be done on a gradual, a more or grand scale, right? You could do thousands of transactions a day depending on what you're trying to do. With Ethereum, you could only probably do a few, right? And so it does open up the capabilities, right, for the XRP Ledger or the XRP holder to make passive income stream by providing liquidity to these AMMs. Obviously, there's going to be homework involved, and not every AMM will be built the same. There's going to be different systems that are going to different ways, different strategies, which you're going to find make bigger fees and things like that. But it is a new day because it's finally being implemented, and we're here. And let's go ahead and let David finish this out, and we'll have some closing thoughts.
If the transactions are slow and there's a small movement, you don't try to capitalize on that because the price might move against you before your trade can execute. The XRP Ledger's features make it easy to capture those smaller price movements. And of course, integration. The AMM is going to be integrated in the DEX.
The AMM is going to be integrated into the DEX, right? And I also have, let me pull this up real quick. So only facts here from Ali G. I couldn't agree more with this. Something bigger is in the works for AMMs. Is not focused just for retail use. AMMs on the XRPL will fundamentally change the financial system. Only few understand, excuse me. This is not get rich crypto. This is utility. I like that, right? I really, really like that. And so they're sharing this. Project Mariana, BIS, and central banks of France, Singapore, and Switzerland successfully test cross-border wholesale CBDCs, right? And there are grander use cases. For Project Mariana, the AMM pooled the liquidity for the hypothetical euro, Singapore dollar, and Swiss francs wrap CBDCs with innovative algorithms enabling spot X transactions, right? The foreign exchange market. Let me show you this. How big is the FX market? $7.5 trillion a day in 2022. And we can only assume that this number is going to keep climbing, right? Where in 2025, we might be at 10 trillion a day, right? And this is really where the use case comes into play. This is the type of volume that changes our lives. If we can get our hands on some of this volume of trillions of dollars a day being moved with XRP, that is really where price discovery will come from. And that is what I am hoping for at the end of the day, holding on to XRP for all of this time. FX transactions to be priced and executed automatically and settled immediately. That's really what we're trying to get to, ladies and gentlemen. That is what is going to make a difference in our lives, holding XRP and believing in this asset. A real world use case that every bank, central bank, and person on the globe or in the world can actually use this to benefit their lives. And that is the biggest use case in crypto. It is still payments. No matter what anyone tells you about AI or DePIN or the metaverse, right? Only so many people can use AI. Only so many people can use decentralized infrastructure. Everybody can use cheap payments. And that is why this is the biggest use case in crypto. And that is why I am so glad that XRP is really leading the way in all of this. Now, you wouldn't really see that in today's price. Let me just refresh this to you. So we have 61 cents. But I am a firm believer that in 5 years or 10 years from now, this still will not be 61 cents. All right. I think that this will fundamentally change the way things are done on the XRP ledger. And every single day, more and more amendments are being passed to make the XRP ledger a better place to build, right, and transact, right? Smart contracts are a big part of it, right? Once we get Ethereum level smart contracts on the XRP ledger, you're going to see a massive amount of devs want to come back and build on the XRP ledger because there's so many great use cases to be built around a token that can be used as the gas token for basically pennies, right? There's really a lot more that you can do rather than paying $30, $40, $100 a transaction. It really does kind of get insane when you're using, Ethereum. If you're not on some layer twos, even some layer twos are a few dollars per transaction, and I guess that's acceptable. But to me, it really isn't for the world, and the world is not going to use something like Ethereum or Bitcoin because it's too expensive, right? Only a select few are going to be able to do that. With XRP, it is really anybody, anywhere, at any time. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. I hope you learned a lot. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.